Hey everybody, this is David, owner of PIPS Ohio Detailing. In this one, we're going to show you what's included in our wheels off service for ceramic coating packages. We're going to show you how we pull the wheels off the vehicle, how we deep clean them front to back, how we go ahead and Claybar and polish the wheels if needed, and then how we go ahead and get them ceramic coated, and then any other add-ons that are kind of included. So go ahead and stay tuned. This is going to be an in-depth video showing everything that we do. We're going to show you how to take a faded, dull, brake dust covered wheel to a perfectly brand new protected wheel that should last you years, be easy to maintain, and look nice going forward for you. So stay tuned and let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is get our quick jack set up. This is the safest way for us to lift the vehicle. We don't have to worry about a jack or jack stands. So we're going to slide these under the car, get it lined up on the pinch welds or whatever lift points the vehicle has, and then get it lifted up in the air. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to pull the wheels off and then get them set up into the dollies. We'll use our impact. And then with the European wheels, you don't have any lug nut or lug studs, so the wheel will just fall right off. And get it set up into our roller. We're ready to work on them. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to soak down the tire with our alkaline cleaner. These wheels are pretty dirty, so we're just going to go straight to soaking the wheel down in wheel acid. We're going to let this dwell for a minute just to help break everything down before we do our first rinse. Hit the wheel with some wheel acid. Making sure we don't let anything dry. We're going to let this dwell up on here for anywhere from a minute or two. Just before we do our first rinse, make sure everything gets loosened up. So after this dwelled for a minute, we're going to go ahead and rinse. And make sure we're getting the back of the spokes real well. And before we do any scrubbing, we'll go ahead and rinse that down as well. So now we're just going to spray the wheel down one more time. We'll go ahead and hit it with some brushes, make sure all the cracks, crevices, the barrel and everything gets contact washed. And then we'll go ahead and scrub the tires down. Go through with our small brush and hit all the faces, the lug nuts. Inside of the tire as well while we're here. So for any of the asphalt and big globs of tar, basically the only way to get them off is with a plastic razor blade. Just pop them off. You're gonna have to polish these in order to get them off fully, but that should get the majority off. So the next step, we need to use some clay. Now clay is going to remove all the embedded contaminants, all the embedded brake dust, any of that tar that's left over. Basically anything that washing isn't going to get rid of. Clay is going to capture that off the surface. So we're going to take a piece of this off of here. We're going to knead it for a little bit, get it nice and flat, make sure it's not super sticky and everything. And then we're going to hit the wheel with some ONR, which is our rinseless wash. That's going to lubricate the clay process. And then we're going to go to town claying. All right, so before we clay the wheel, I'm gonna go ahead and spray it down with our rinseless wash. We're gonna make sure we have plenty of lubrication on there. And the focus of the clay is gonna be on the back of the wheels. The front of the wheels, if they're kept up on cleaning, might not need clayed, but the barrels almost always need clayed before we go ahead and apply the coating. So after we got our rinseless wash on there, we're gonna take our clay, get this wet as well, and then we're just gonna slowly go through the wheel, and you can hear the texture. And so once you stop hearing the texture, you're usually good to move on. And so the only thing that this isn't going to remove is the old glue. We'll have to do one more step to get the old glue off. So you can see those are all the contaminants even after multiple cleanings. We're take that, fold it up on itself, and mash out a new side. Then we can go ahead and check the front of the wheel too, just to be safe. If everything feels nice and smooth, we shouldn't have to do a clay bar on the front, and everything feels nice and smooth. So we can move on to our next step. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and dry the wheel. I know we still have that glue on there, but we're actually gonna want a dry wheel to take care of the glue. So we're gonna go ahead and dry all the nooks and crannies, make sure everything's dry, and then we can inspect the wheel, kind of take a look at it versus the dirty wheel over there, and then show what we're gonna end up polishing out on this wheel. All right, so now you can see we have a clean wheel, quite a bit of scratching. We do still have the glue to take care of. You can tell there's just kind of some haze and fading in the inner barrel. We have the remnants of where that asphalt was, that's etched into the paint. And then we also have some pretty deep rock chips in here. Nothing's gonna go away with those. But everything else should clean up fairly well after a polish. And these wheels should look like they're in much better shape. And then after we get the coating on, they should stay that way. So typically we're gonna use Goof Off. Alcohol works sometimes. There's also Goo Gone, some other solvents. Goof Off does have some xylene and acetone in it, so it's pretty aggressive, but it's gonna work great at getting this glue off of here. So we just need a little bit on a rag. We're just gonna find our reverse glue mark, and we're just gonna sort of soak it on there for a moment. And our plastic razor blade's also gonna come in. All right, so that's one glue mark gone. I'm gonna inspect the rest of the wheel, get the rest of these off, and then we'll touch base after that. So these are both off the same car, both front wheels. And as you can see, just after a deep clean and decon, how much different the wheel looks. And we haven't even polished this wheel yet. This is before and after, before polishing. And then we'll go ahead and take a look at how nice we can get this wheel. We're obviously gonna have some damage. We got some rock chips and some etched paint here and there, but I think we'll make a major difference compared to this over here. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna polish the inner barrels. This isn't required for the coating. However, if we're gonna spend the money on coating them, might as well get them looking as best we can. So we're gonna see what we can do. I'm gonna do about a quarter of this wheel, and then we can check out how it looks versus the rest. First, I'm gonna go at it with a purple wool cut pad, and then we'll go ahead and finish it off with an orange polish pad, compound and polish. We mostly use Optimum around here, so this is Optimal Hypercut. So let's get at it. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and switch to our polish pad, and we've got some Optimum Hyper Polish. We're gonna go ahead and polish this out. Now we can go ahead and see how that's looking. That's a pretty big difference just for a quick little polish. All right, so we got finished polishing up this wheel. We lightly polished the face. The face is looking pretty good. Barrel was pretty messed up, to say the least. Quite a few rock chips, scratches. It was super faded. We got all that polished up. That turned out nice. The last thing left to do is hit the wheel with some paint prep. That's gonna pull off any of the polish oils or anything like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and get coating on this with our OptiCoat Pro. It's gonna be a 5-year warranty on the paint. On the wheels, it's gonna be a 2-year warranty, just because of the extra abuse that your wheels go through with the brake dust and everything like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it sprayed down with some paint prep, get everything wiped down, make sure there's no oils or anything left, and then we can go ahead and get into the coating. All right, so last thing there is to do is to coat this wheel. We've got it cleaned, prepped, and polished. Now all we gotta do is prime our pad here and go ahead and get the coating applied. Flip this wheel around. I start with the barrels and the back side. And so every square inch of this wheel is gonna be hit. We're gonna hit the barrels, the back sides of the spokes. We won't worry about where it meets with the hub. and then we'll hit the wheel faces as well. So we'll start applying. Make sure we're going all the way up this rear lip. Okay, then we're gonna move on to the backs of the spokes. All right, now we let that cure for 30 seconds to a minute whenever we see our rainbow hashing, and then we'll go ahead and buff off any high spots and then move on to the front. One area to kind of keep an eye on is around any wheel weights. It's an easy spot to have a high spot. And then the backs of the spokes, not as important. We're going for more protection there, but we still want to make sure everything looks good. Reprime my pad, and we'll go ahead and coat the front. Wheels have a lot of little nooks and crannies, so you want to make sure you take your time. That's why we have the wheel rollers. We really want to take our time making sure we're getting into every area that we can. Now we'll let that cure up for about a minute. You might not be able to see on camera, but you can see it flashing away. Permanently cross-linking with the paint on your wheel. And once the majority of that's cross-linked, we can go ahead and buff off any excess. Now these feel nice and slick, nice and glossy. Should be very hydrophobic. Should help the brake dust clean up nice and easily. And yeah, it should make maintenance a breeze for you, as well as just keeping the paint on your wheels looking as new as possible for as long as possible. That's the name of the game. So we would recommend doing the wheels off service every time you get a ceramic coating. While we have the vehicle in for the ceramic coating package, it really just makes sense for us to get it up in the air, get the wheels off, get them fully coated. That way they're taken care of. At this point, this will be a much easier wheel to maintain. And then the final thing that we'll do with your wheels off service is this is a great opportunity for us to do a deep wheel well cleaning. We can get to some of your suspension components, make sure that those are nice and clean and degreased. And we can also focus on your brake calipers. So if you do have a nice painted brake caliper, Brembo brakes, anything like that, we'll go ahead and deep clean the brake calipers, get those degreased, and then also coat the brake calipers as well, just to help prevent any brake dust buildup and make sure that those are nice and easy to maintain for you as well. It's nice having colored brake calipers. You want to keep them nice. So all that's left to do is the other 3 wheels. We also go ahead and we're gonna rotate the tires front to back on this one. We don't include that every time, but if you want us to rotate the tires while they're off, we don't mind doing that for you. So we're gonna go ahead and finish the wheel wells, coat the brake calipers. We have 3 more wheels that need deep clean, polished, and coated. We'll get them back on the car, torque them to spec, and then this car will be ready to hit the road.